All right, let's get into it. For centuries, sailors have whispered stories about this one patch of ocean, a place so dangerous, so weird, that ships and even planes just seem to, vanish. People call it the Pacific's own Bermuda Triangle. But what if there's a real, scientific reason for all the ghost stories? Well, today we're going to decode the legend of the Dragon's Triangle.
So you have to ask the question, right? Could there really be a Bermuda Triangle in the Pacific? A spot on the map where things just disappear without a trace? Well, if you look at the decades of reports, the answer is a pretty chilling yes.
And boy, it has some names, none of them very friendly. You've got the Dragon's Triangle, the Formosa Triangle, but the most famous one, from Japan, is Mano Umi, which literally means the Devil's Sea. It's this huge, volatile piece of the Pacific, and it has absolutely earned its terrifying reputation.
And look, this reputation isn't just folklore. It's built on a long, spooky history of real disappearances. I mean, look at this timeline. It goes way back. In 1928, the Asia Prince just gone. In 1952, a Japanese research ship, the Kaiomaru no 5, vanished while it was studying a volcano. Never heard from again. Fast forward to 2005, the cargo ship Ritai no 8 is lost, leaving nothing behind but an empty life raft. And get this, as recently as 2017, a modern fighter jet just blinked off the radar. We're talking everything from old steamships to advanced aircraft.
Okay, so where exactly is this place? This is where the story takes a fascinating turn, where we pivot from myth to meteorology. It's where the legend and hard science actually cross paths.
So here it is. The Dragon's Triangle is this massive area of ocean just southeast of Japan. You can see it on the map, covering some of the country's most typhoon-prone prefectures, like Kagoshima, Kochi, and Wakayama. Now, that location is a huge clue. The very heart of this legendary mystery spot is smack dab in one of the most weather-beaten places on the entire planet.
Now, here's what's really wild. Look at all those dots. Those are 35 different scientific wind stations that are constantly watching this exact area. So this so-called haunted sea is actually one of the most intensely studied, most scrutinized patches of ocean in the world. And all that scientific attention, well, that's what gives us the clues we need to finally solve this thing.
And that brings us to a major scientific paper. Instead of hunting for sea monsters or some kind of paranormal vortex, these researchers went hunting for data. They asked a really simple question. What if all these supernatural stories were really just about natural forces? Forces that we can actually measure and, understand.
Their mission was pretty clear. They dug into over 4 decades of wind data from all 35 of those stations. They wanted to see if the extreme winds were getting worse, if there were specific danger zones or hotspots, and the big one, could they find any kind of predictable pattern in all that chaos?
So what did they find? What did 42 years of data actually say? This, my friends, is where the legend starts to fall apart and the science really takes over.
And this chart just lays it all out there. It shows the range of wind speeds at each one of those stations. And just look at the massive variety. Some spots are pretty tame, but then you have places like Murotomisaki over here, with these insane spikes into truly violent, extreme wind speeds. So the problem isn't just that it's dangerous, it's that it's dangerously inconsistent from one spot to the next.
And this map just adds another layer of pure unpredictability. The red triangles, those are spots where the extreme winds have actually been getting weaker over time. But the blue triangles, yikes, those are places where the winds are getting significantly stronger. So imagine trying to navigate this. The conditions are changing not just day to day, but decade to decade, and in totally different ways all over the map.
And it turns out, timing is absolutely everything. These heat maps show the wind intensity by season. You can see it plain as day. Spring, summer, winter, they have their moments. But autumn, that's when the map just lights up. It's the peak of typhoon season, when this region just gets hammered by storms, one after another. The legend of the Devil's Sea isn't a constant thing. It has a scientifically confirmed kill season.
Okay, so what do we have? Unpredictable locations, unpredictable long-term trends, and a brutally predictable season of extreme danger. So now let's connect all this abstract data back to those real stories of ships and planes just vanishing.
This table is where those numbers become terrifyingly real. A wind speed of 25.6 meters per second, the max they recorded at Murotomisaki, is powerful enough to blow over moving trucks. At 23 meters per second, roofs get torn off buildings. Even down at 20, trees are snapping. We're not talking about a stiff breeze here. We're talking about catastrophic, vessel-destroying forces. A ship caught in that could absolutely be lost without a single trace.
And here it is, the scientific nail in the coffin for any paranormal theory. The researchers found evidence of something called a stochastic trend at almost half of the weather stations. Now, in simple terms, that just means the wind patterns in these spots are fundamentally random and unpredictable over the long haul. The danger isn't just that the wind is strong, it's that its behavior is, statistically speaking, impossible to forecast with any real certainty. It is quite literally organized chaos.
So, now that we have all this data, we can finally look at this old mystery from a completely new scientific perspective. We can finally see the real dragon that's been lurking in these waters.
You know, the authors of this study weren't just trying to bust a myth for fun. They were trying to save lives. They say it right in their conclusion. Understanding these trends can help create better safety policies and make communities more resilient to disaster. The science here isn't just about explaining the past, it's about protecting the future.
Which brings us right back to our very first question. After sifting through 42 years of data, after all this analysis, what is the force that truly haunts the Devil's Sea?
The answer is crystal clear. It's not ghosts, but gusts. It's not sea monsters, but stochastic trends. The real dragon, the true devil in these waters, has been the wind all along. A force of nature so powerful and so unpredictable that for centuries, the only way we could explain it was magic.